Good afternoon. Excited about getting a big road win on Saturday. It was a really hard-fought game, and things don't. It's college football. Things don't go always as scripted as everybody sometimes thinks. And both offenses were really good, and both defenses weren't as good. And the credit goes to both offenses. And I was really pleased at halftime with some of the adjustments that we were able to make and get a few stops, because if I thought we got a few stops, we could keep pounding the football, and we were able to do that. So any win on the road is good, especially in the Valley, and so we're happy to have it. We're going to learn from some of the mistakes we made. We're going to continue to grow and develop. We have to continue to get better. That's the challenge. It's 8 one-week seasons like we talked about a few weeks ago, and every week, you forget about what you did the previous week. It's what you do the next week. So we've got a big task at hand against Western Illinois on the road again in an evening game, and some tough elements to practice in probably this week. But we've got to find a way to get better as a team. So we'll take any questions.
Chris, you said after the game Saturday, communication was again an issue. How do you address that going forward?
Well, you emphasize it more in practice for starters, rather than taking it for granted, I should say. I think sometimes we just assume a lot of times that we've played with each other so much, and we talked about it as a staff of seeing the nonverbal communication on film, hearing it on the field, something that we have to continue to stress with our defensive guys. I know we'll make a big point of emphasis this week to do that. It hopefully will be a situation where we can communicate on the field even a little bit easier down in Macomb, but something that we have to strive to get better at, because it's not something where in my mind, we have good enough talent, we have good enough scheme. We just got to get clicking on all cylinders.
Without Wimbush, is that a situation where maybe you could see Robbie play a little nickel and involve Tutsy or pull?
We're talking about that right now, Ross. Whether it be that situation, I just hate to take James and Robbie off of something that you're really good at. Does it mean Marquise Bridges or Jalen Allison or Jackson Brown even plays there, with us continuing to move Jabril inside? It really hurt us in that early in that game when we lost Wimbush, because we just didn't take nothing from away from Northern Iowa. They did a good job, but we ended up getting stuck in our base defense the entire game, and wouldn't want that to happen. We've got to address it, though.
Injury situation for you guys?
We actually came out of this one, I think, fairly good. Des Kane is banged up. I think he has an oblique injury as well as his shoulder injury, so he'll be probably pretty questionable this week. He's the only one from this game. We haven't practiced yet. I'm hoping Ty is closer. I'm hoping Gindorf is closer. But in the same respect, we have to continue to make sure that we're in this thing for the long haul. And if Ty isn't, then we have to roll with the guys we have, and so that we can have him for the long haul. But I'm hopeful that Ty and Gindorf will be closer.
Which would you anticipate his availability?
I anticipate him being okay.
Starts where you found yourself down on the scoreboard. What's kind of the remedy to get a faster start this week in Macomb?
Try not to try to emphasize it too much. A fast start doesn't mean a pick six by Jabril and an 80-yard touchdown. It sometimes just means doing your job and being more assignment sound and not worrying about what other people do, but worry about yourself. And the one thing that I also take from it is, our guys aren't going to panic either when we don't have that fast start, that you have enough experience, enough leadership, enough guys that have been through the battles before that settle down, we'll get it figured out. But obviously we don't want to get in a hole like we've been in the hole the last couple of weeks.
A recipe to put an emotional game, last 2 games really, behind you and move on?
Just continuing to echo the same things that we talk about all the time anybody can beat anybody. You find a way to win a game, and you got to close that book and open up the next chapter and write the next story. And it is, every game's going to be like this. And unfortunately, we would all like to have games like we had in the first game of the season. It's just college football is difficult, and so we have to make sure that we put this one away and learn from our mistakes, continue to get better both offensively and defensively, and focus on each day and give ourselves a chance to win on Saturday, because it's an emotional game. But boy, if you don't rise to the occasion, you're going to get beat.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. First outdoor game, does that change the way you practice this week?
Yeah, it sure does. We need to get outside a little bit. I think the temperature, and I think it was 84 or something in Macomb today, so it's a pretty far cry from what it is here. But we need to, more from the respect of wind, and if there is some precipitation, we need to get out there and practice in it a little bit. If it's going to be a day like today, you maybe get out there once during the week. I think it'll be a little warmer than it is here, but I think the wind from the kicking game is my bigger concern than it is from throwing the football in the rain. We practiced outside a few times in the fall where we had some rain showers and stuff. So, but it's definitely something that we need to make sure that we're aware of.
Seemed like the downhill running game between the tackles was better than it was against South Dakota State. Anything technically you did different there, or just improved level of play from everyone?
You're talking on how we ran the ball against Northern Iowa? Yeah, the more we look at it, Ross, we were hitting them on everything. We were bouncing things outside when they were boggling things up. We would spread them out and hit them inside. We would spread them out and hit them outside. That set up Darius Shepard, and when Darius started to get hot, then all of a sudden you saw some softer defenses. So then we were able to crack them a little bit more. If we're able to hit the big play like we were with Shep, and then like we were against with Bruce on the big one, I think it's going to open some things up in the run game. And we kind of held it as long as we could, and then early in the fourth quarter, maybe late in the third, I just reminded Mess, hey, we have some quarterback run stuff we can get to too. We didn't need to get him hit if we could help it, but there were some things that we thought we saw, and so I think Courtney did a great job of dialing some things up where Easton became a focal point of the run game, and now you throw him into the mix with Bruce and Lance, and now it becomes really tough.
Chris, this is the third straight week you're playing a 3-year starter at quarterback. Describe the difficulties of that, and specifically with McGuire on Saturday.
I've always been really impressed with McGuire. He's a guy that I like watching on film. I don't like watching live because he's a really good football player. But just as you watch him over the last 3 years, he's got tremendous poise. He doesn't get rattled. I've talked to Charlie Fisher about him. Fish and I have become good friends. I know Charlie since left there, how much he appreciated watching McGuire do his craft over the time he was there. He finds a way to win. You can hit him and he's going to stand right into the pocket and deliver the ball. I think he's an excellent quarterback that we talked about the starters in this league. There's another guy that can put a team on his back and carry him to a win.
Do anything different this year, specifically Youngstown a couple weeks ago, where they had to hang on and win?
Yeah, they were able to run the football against Youngstown, which doesn't happen an awful lot, and so that opened up all their stuff. They have a great play-action game, and they really like to push the ball downfield. This will be the biggest challenge from a secondary standpoint of it. They can nickel and dime you and throw the bubble screens and throw the short stuff, but they want to challenge you vertically downfield and some deep crossing routes and some deep over routes, and you have to be able to put pressure on the quarterback, but you also have to be able to cover for an awful long time, and he's got the great arm strength to be able to get it across the field.
Midway point through the season, Chris, I know self-scout's always a part of it, but how much do you balance self-scout versus scouting an opponent at this point in the year?
Obviously, scouting the opponent would be number one, but we also now want to go back and look and see what we've done, especially when you think of back-to-back games where it's been four-quarter competitive games. You want to look and see what you're doing. It's tough to take things from maybe Cal Poly or Delaware in the second half where you don't really where you're trying to just show different things. And so we'll look at the self-scout and see where we're maybe tipping our hand on some things, but it still comes down. It's still early in the season for us, to look at an opponent and say, okay, here's how we think they're going to attack us. We always throw our games against these teams over the last couple of years. They're running the same offense, even though Coach Fisher's left. The OC became the head coach, Jared did, and so I envision them doing a lot of the same things that they've had success against us in the past.
Seniors, do you notice the maturity of this team with that many?
Yeah, it's great to have that many guys, and we have a number of captains, but I'm so pleased with the other guys that are seniors that are really stepping up and doing a great job of leading, whether it's in the locker room, on the sideline, at practice. And I always tell these guys, boy, enjoy the journey. We're going into to Game 6. You're going to hit past the halfway point, and your senior season you're never going to forget, and you want to make sure and leave a legacy and continue to write the story of this season. And so it's especially when you see the parents and stuff after the game, and they're realizing the same thing. Boy, we're on to week 6, and this thing goes fast.
Help those. It help in that your 24-hour rule. I mean, where does that leadership help?
I think it helps in that respect. It helps from a younger guy's perspective of, hey, this doesn't just happen. You have to continue to work on a daily basis to continue to improve. From a practice standpoint, from a game standpoint, watch the older guys and see how they. I'm going to tell our guys today, watch Tanner Volson practice and then watch him play. It's the same kid. Watch Greg Menard practice, then watch him play. It's the same guy. And some of our young guys, I think, as it gets to midseason, they get tired. They start getting wore out a little bit. Boy, you've got to have an example of somebody that, and Greg didn't know that until a kid named Emmanuel showed him how to do it. And that's something I think is really important is to teach these guys that it's grind, but you've got to be able to answer the bell every day.
The receivers could have been kind of, I guess, classified as RJ heavy in the past, maybe a little Darius heavy now. What do the young kids need to do whether it's in practice or in the game, where they start making plays in the game?
Well, if they're not going to cover Shep, we'll keep throwing it to him. And I think everybody would agree if Shep's going to be open, let's keep zinging it to him, because right now we're moving that kid all over the place and people don't know where he's at. And that's a great job by Randy Mess and J. Ray of getting that kid in the mix so he is open. It's just gaining confidence with Easton under center and Easton to say, hey, you're going to – I thought Christian Watson made as good a play as there was in the game in a critical situation and caught it 3 yards before a first down, punched the guy and got around for a first down. That was a big, big play for us, and Bruce made a big play. But, we're going to go where the football tells us to go or where the play tells us. But when people are leaving Shep uncovered, well, he's a tough matchup.
Like every year we talk about every other year we talk about how tough it is to play at Macomb. Do we make more of that than it's really worth?
I think it's more the travel than it is anything else. You don't fly into Macomb. You fly an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes away, and then have to bus in either the day of or the next day, and we're going to try a new place to stay that's a little bit closer this year. That's maybe an hour away rather than an hour and 45 minutes away. That's making a big deal of it. I think the 6 p.m. start at night is another thing that we haven't experienced yet this year. So we'll do some things on Saturday morning from a walkthrough standpoint to get them moving around a little bit. Every kid wants to play in the afternoon. That's when college football is meant to be played, and so that it's a challenge maybe a little bit. That's where, to Jeff's point, you get a bunch of seniors that have done this. 2 years ago we did this 6 o'clock back to back with Western Illinois and Northern Iowa, and that was hard. This is just one of them. Lock into the details, lock into what your job is, and there are no excuses. You have to be ready to roll come 6 o'clock.
Chris, you've been really good at night, though, since you've been here. I know you're not going to give away the kitchen sink on that, but what in your mindset has allowed that success to be there?
For starters, I didn't know if we were good at night during the day. I don't have any idea. You guys know that way better than I do. Maybe the routine, just same thing. The routine on the road is more than anything, because we're not playing night games here anymore, thank heavens. And so when you're on the road, it's just, here's what we do. We get up in the morning, we have our chapel or mass, and we go right to a special teams meeting, right to a walkthrough. So we get them locked in, give them 2 or 3 hours to relax and watch a little bit of football, bring them back in early afternoon, have another quick walkthrough. Kramer will get them stretched out, move them around a little bit, roll to the stadium, and then it's time to play football.
Mess, a couple of praises so far. How much have you seen him grow in his role over the last year?
Well, he's a really good football coach, and he keeps putting his own stamp on things here and there. It was good. The play that we ran with Bruce, we ran in the 80s at Northern Iowa on a pass play, and that's a play from old pass. But we're running so many two-back sets with Lance and Bruce. It was great. He did a great job of remembering, hey, this is a tough thing to handle, and it is a tough thing to cover. And I think our ability offensively to be under center and run the football, and Coach Riley's got the Rams playing really high level, and T-Roll's got the crew chiefs playing high level. For us to be able to do that and then get into a shotgun formation and you not know if we're going to run inside, run outside, run with the quarterback, makes us difficult to defend. And if you're going to rush the ball for 300 and some yards, I don't care if we ever throw it. It's more demoralizing to get and not be able to stop the run than it is to not be able to stop the pass, because the time keeps going over too from an offensive standpoint. So we have to have good balance. And what I mean by good balance is keep them off schedule. If that means we're throwing it 15 times, but they're explosive plays, I don't know what our per catch or per attempt. I know it was really high on Saturday. If you're doing those things, you're having good balance.
You probably don't need to remind the guys about this, but the results Saturday, James Madison losing, South Dakota State being taken to overtime, is that just another reminder that craziness happens every Saturday?
It's a reminder to you, Dom, that, it is, yeah. That's probably McFeely probably isn't back from there. They won't let him out. They never let him go back there. Indiana State goes to South Dakota State. You fueled Dunn, right? But it is. It's hard. College football is hard to script. And that's why this game is so great. You just never know what you're going to get. You think you maybe know the outcome. We think we know. No, but did we think we were going to get into a 56-31 game against Northern Iowa? No, but do you think Indiana State, South Dakota State, did you guys have that as an overtime game in the upper 40s? Nobody does. That's what's great about college football is you can't script any of these things out. It's 18 to 22-year-olds that are coming with a different mindset every day that you have to try to challenge to make sure their mindset's going in the right direction so they can be successful together. That's where the senior leadership, that's when your veterans have to come to the forefront and lead your football team, and that's fun. I didn't see all those scores. I didn't know until I talked to Jeremy that Montana had lost. I didn't know Weber had lost. Those are, every week's going to be something different, and that's why every game is pivotal as you move forward.
You mentioned giving the players time when you have a night game to watch other teams play. How much do you guys get a chance to watch other teams play? Pick off, things that you see on TV?
Well, I think you always do a little bit Saturday evening. I like to watch some things, especially some of the, I like watching Notre Dame now because I'm familiar with Clark Lee and what he's doing defensively there, and I think they have a really good team. I like to watch what he's doing. I like to watch what George is doing and Clemson's doing because I have some familiarity. Same with, I know that our defensive staff that met with those people. I know that our offensive staff, it's fun to just maybe see what other teams are doing or see what other, even though you can't see anything, you can kind of visualize what you believe is what the whole structure is because you don't have the all-22 camera. But we like watching it, just like a lot of people will watch us and give us a call and say, hey, what were you running there?